First story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I sent a cease and desist letter to my late husband's daughter? I, 58 female, was left the sole beneficiary of my late husband's will. My husband died this year from a heart attack. He left me a very large amount of money, as well as our house that was in his name and a few other properties outside the city. He left nothing, however, to his children. His children, 30 female and 28 male, have been contacting me incessantly about the money and properties. They feel that they should each get a property and a portion of the money. My husband did not have a relationship with his children, however, which was largely a result of his previous wife's actions. This isn't just my opinion. I heard the calls and saw the court documents. His second child is not biologically his, which he found out when the boy was 3, which led to the divorce. His wife, however, convinced the kids that he had cheated on her. He hadn't. His children hated him as a result of her actions, though he was a loving dad, and refused any contact. This crushed my husband. The hurts grew into resentment, and he decided not to leave his children anything when he died. He updated his will 4 years ago. I do not want to give his kids anything either, though I have the means to. I told them as such, and the daughter blew up at me and began calling me nonstop. I blocked her, but she somehow got a hold of my work email. I'm a professor, and sent me several angry emails. Neither the son or daughter is well off, and the daughter has 3 kids whom I've never met. She has a house, however, so I believe she wants the property for her mother. Apparently, her mother loved those properties. They have been in my husband's family for generations. I do feel bad for her kids, but their mother has treated me terribly, and my husband would roll over in his grave if his ex-wife acquired one of those properties. Would I be the a-hole if I sent a cease and desist letter to his daughter? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. They refused contact, and also it's not his ex-wife's business either. Do take legal action. The situation warrants it. Seriously, that's harassment, plain and simple. You do better to have a lawyer and send a cease and desist letter to the daughter. If she's continually harassing you, and at work no less, you have rights. There are laws in place to force her to stop. I just gave this advice to another poster, but it works here too. The EEOC website has a lot of info about harassment and what to do about it. You would not be the a-hole. Good luck, and I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. It was the fact that she is harassing me at work that prompted me to consider taking legal action. I worked hard to get this job, and I have no idea if she plans to cause any further disruption. I'm looking to get a lawyer. Not the a-hole. Your husband's will is clear. Tell me if I'm wrong here. The children did not try to amend their relationship with their dad, right? They're only coming to you after his death to get the money. If they had apologized and tried to work through the resentment, then your husband would have left something to them. Am I correct in assuming that? No, they did not, unfortunately. My husband tried several times. The son actually did call once many years ago, but he was not looking to reconnect. He was asking for info related to his bio dad, as his mom would not tell him. He absolutely would have left them something had they been in good terms, or even had they just been in contact. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not using my daughter's college fund to support my future grandchild? I, 45 female, have been a single mother to my daughter, 18 female, ever since her father passed away when she was a baby. It was hard pulling us through, but we made it. I finished my degree, earned a nice job with a high salary, and now we live comfortably. One of my priorities was setting aside a college fund for my daughter. Her father had started one when he found out I was pregnant, and I chose to add on to it once he passed. When she was 17, I sat down with her and told her that once she is ready for college, do not worry because I and her dad have saved up money for her education. I told her this money could go towards tuition, housing, food, books, etc. She planned on moving into an apartment in the same state as the school and attending some online classes / some in person. Anything to make her college life comfortable and fun I was willing to offer. I wanted the best for her because when I went to college, I struggled financially. She was grateful and thanked me. Obviously, the pandemic has made school different for everyone, and senior year of high school was difficult for her. But she was still accepted into one of the top schools in the nation, USA, and I was so proud of her. 4 days ago, she sat me down and told me that she was pregnant. I was shocked because she was on birth control. I figured it was an accident. She's due in September, right when school starts. That meant we had to back out signing a lease for a future apartment and would have to stay home to raise the baby. Starting college with a newborn would have been a challenge, but doable. So I accepted it. Until later that night I overheard, not eavesdrop, her convo with her boyfriend. She told her boyfriend not to worry about supporting the baby. She would just use her college money for it. I also heard that she's been lying to me. Turns out, she decided to stop taking the pill simply because she wanted to switch to a different birth control, but she didn't tell me. So for the past 3 months, she's been picking up her birth control and she wasn't taking them. If she wanted to switch to something else like the implant or an IUD, I would have supported it. I'm not some stuck-up prude. I was open to my daughter about protecting herself from STIs/pregnancy, so this choice confuses me. Next night, I told her that she and her boyfriend would have to find a way to support the baby, because her college fund was for college only. She broke down, asking me how she was going to manage to support her baby when she and her boyfriend had a job. I told her she should have thought about that before she spread her legs with no contraception. She called me a horrible mother and grandmother because I was setting them up for failure. I told her that I set her up for success, yet she chose the route which made things difficult for her. She told some other family members and are saying that I'm the a-hole and should think of the child. I replied that while I love my grandchild, I plan on staying firm about the college fund. But now I'm unsure. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She made her own decision getting pregnant, and now it's time to live with the consequences. As long as you hold on to the money for if she ever goes to college, you will fulfill that part. I am assuming though you will still support her and the baby, but just not giving up the savings. That was my original plan. Honestly, had this truly been an accident pregnancy while she actually on the pill, I would feel more inclined to help her. But as it stands, I do not want to be the primary provider for the grandchild. She is expected to find a job as soon as she can, even if it's just part-time in a retail place after the baby is born. I am okay with babysitting while she works/is in class, but most of the financials has to be her responsibility. I think that is more than fair, considering some parents would have kicked their child out and offered nothing. Not day hall. She made that choice as an adult and needs to learn there are consequences. I decently like the comment about setting up a trust fund for the future grandchild. I'd ask your daughter if she ever plans on going to college, and if she doesn't plan on it, turn it into the grandchild's trust fund. This sounds like a great idea for the future grandchild trust fund. The last time we talked, it's been a few days now because she's still mad at me. Lol. She agreed to stay home and have the baby, do all classes online, find a part-time job as soon as she was able. I was willing to support them for a few months while she recovered and looked for a job. But ever since I found out about the lying, I have such mixed feelings about it. If later down the road she decides she isn't ready for college, that's fine. The fund will still be there for her and/or her daughter when she decides to a further education. Thank you for your input. Not day-hole. She tried to scam you into paying for her planned teen pregnancy. I know a woman whose daughter did that. She and her boyfriend wanted to have babies while they were 18 to 20, so they could get free room, board, and child care, and then travel the world at 40 when the kids were adults. Only they didn't consult the intended providers of the free room, board, and child care. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my daughter out because she ruined her stepsister's things and makes life difficult in the house? I have 2 daughters, Leah 19 female and Lucy 16 female. I adore my girls, but since I remarried Rebecca fairly soon after the divorce, they weren't impressed, especially since I gained a stepdaughter, Sophie 18 female. I did my best, but they remain closer to their mother to this day, and when the lockdowns first started, they wished to stay with her and communicate with me through tech. Clarification because everyone was asking, I did not cheat. My ex-wife, Sharon, has been struggling since the pandemic. Money is tight for both her and her boyfriend Luke, and with them and both the girls, there's not a lot of space. Leanne especially is coping very poorly, and Sharon asked if I was willing to have her for a short while. Apparently at Leanne's request. I was surprised by this, since she was the one who felt most negatively towards me after the divorce, and we recently had a big fight because she dropped out of university. So I agreed, knowing that it would be tough. But her behavior hasn't been acceptable. She's rude to Rebecca. She frequently takes clothes off Sophie's. She says she and Lucy share things all the time, but their relationship and attitudes to clothes is different. Sophie's wardrobe is essentially sacred to her for reasons, and I don't have the word count to explain, but can in the comments if deemed irrelevant. Leanne also makes a lot of noise, a symptom of her mother's household, swears a lot, is messy and very aggressive when she doesn't get her way, or is rebuked for her behavior, particularly if it's Rebecca that said something. Tensions have been rising lately, because Sophie was due to start university again today. Leanne and I fought about this, as I mentioned, so it was a delicate subject regardless. And with Leanne's noise disturbance, Sophie has found it difficult to concentrate on her prep work, so they've been arguing even more. Sophie bought a new shirt and necklace for her first meeting today. A new outfit for a specific event is Sophie's code for "I'm stressed about this." The idea of an online term is quite daunting. Today, she went to get dressed and found a blouse ripped apart and the necklace destroyed on her bed. She started crying. There was a big fight. Rebecca calmed Sophie down in time for her class, and I sent Leanne to her room and told her to stay there until her mother arrives to pick her up. Not just the vandalism, but the fact that she deliberately searched for the item she knew Sophie had chosen to calm herself down for her class was just too much for me. I've said I'm happy to take Lucy if space is still an issue, but Leanne can't live in my house if she's going to destroy her stepsister's property and make life difficult for everyone. Sharon, Luke, and Leanne all say I'm an a-hole for putting them in this position and not prioritizing Leanne because she's my daughter, and they won't pick her up. So, am I the a-hole? Wow, not the a-hole. Your daughter is an adult. Her stepsister would be well in her right to sue her at this point. She chose to be evil. Your ex doesn't want to pick her up? No worries. Put her in an Uber and put conditions for her coming back if you ever consider letting her. Apologies, therapy and strict respect of your rules and your stepdaughter's space. And pay for what she destroyed, or replacing it. Your daughter is way too old to act like a toddler in my opinion. Edit. Please don't take my mention to suing as an indication she should be taken to court, but rather that she has reached the age where destroying someone's property can get her into real issues. Property destroyed in harassment can get you in adult troubles. I get that this is Reddit, but the idea that suing is the response to every possible problem is ridiculous. The effort, time, and money spent taking a family member to court over a shirt and a necklace is simply not worth it. Let me emphasize, because other Redditors have focused on the potential dynamics of your divorce and on step-siblings rivalries. Your action here is age-appropriate parenting. Leanne is over 18, refuses to follow house rules, is rude and messy, steals from Sophie and destroyed Sophie's new belongings in a malicious action targeted to cause maximum distress. In the adult world, actions have consequences. If you tolerate this under your roof, then it would set up Leanne and her future roommates for disaster. If Leanne treated an adult in an apartment share the way she treats Sophie, then Leanne could end up in small claims court, plus a police report for vandalism and a civil restraining order. Although it's unlikely the vandalism would be prosecuted, these are things that could turn up on a background check. The mildest way to curb that behavior before it creates a public record is to make Leanne move in with other relatives. You're pursuing that course, she won't be on the streets. She'll resent you for it in the short run. Leanne is living in the moment. 10 years from now, when Leanne has a bit more life experience, she may understand why you demonstrated that boundaries matter. You also owe a reasonable home environment to Sophie so she can focus on her studies without abuse. Not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my mom when I corrected her new friend who thought my daughter was my little sister? My daughter Ava is 4 years old. I had her young. My girlfriend passed away when my daughter was a baby, so I'm mostly on my own taking care of her. Before pandemic, I used to leave Ava at daycare. But since it's closed and not safe for her to be out, I started paying my mom to watch her weekdays when I work. My mom told me a month ago this lady just moved in a few houses down and she comes over to chat. I never met her until Friday when I got off work early and went to pick up my daughter. Ava was playing in the backyard, so I stayed longer. Then her neighbor friend came and my mom introduced us. The lady commented that it's so sweet I still make time to visit my mom and play with my little sister. I looked at my mom confused and thought she would correct the lady, but she was just standing there, smiling like she agreed. So I told her she's my daughter actually. She was just as confused as I was, but she just went, "Oh." My mom, I guess, tried to save face, saying she loves my daughter like her own so it's easy to forget. Anyways, it was awkward, so I just got Ava and we went home. I have this week off, so not taking her to my mom's place. My mom called earlier because she's mad her friend isn't talking to her much. Before, she would come over every day, and now she hasn't come since Friday. My mom said her friend assumed Ava was her daughter when they first met, and she was embarrassed to admit she's her grandma because she didn't want the lady thinking bad about her. She says I didn't have to ruin it for her, and it didn't hurt anyone to let her think that. We ended up arguing. My mom's mad I embarrassed her, and now she might have lost a new friend. I'm mad she'd lie about something like that, and didn't consider she could be confusing Ava saying stuff like that. She swears she never said anything in front of my daughter, but I don't know if I believe that. I get it, some people are gonna judge me for being a young dad, or judge her as a parent, so I guess I can see where my mom was coming from. Even if I don't care, they can think what they want. But it did embarrass my mom, so I want to know if I'm the a-hole here for saying something about it. Now for the top comments. I get it, some people are gonna judge me for being a young dad, or judge her as a parent. Yeah, and some people are a-holes, but not you. Not an a-hole. That friend isn't coming over anymore because Opie's mom pretended to be Eva's mom, not because of how young anyone in this scenario had their kids. Because that is hella weird behavior. Opie's mom embarrassed herself. I wouldn't come over either. Not an a-hole. Your mom is a major a-hole. This would severely bother me. I'm so sorry. Your mom was deceitful, which is probably why the lady isn't talking to her now. What's embarrassing about you raising a daughter that you had young? I guess it would be embarrassing for her to admit you have taken responsibility instead of just running off and forgetting you have a daughter. I just can't even understand her thinking. I'm proud of you and very impressed. Honestly, sounds like the mom is the one judging her son in the whole situation. Life happens. Why be embarrassed by it? Not the a-hole. She even admitted it was her own wrongdoing that got her into that situation. You had nothing to do with it. Seems like a silly thing to have a fight over in my opinion. But you do you, Opie. We had different reasons for that fight. Mine was, I was mad she was saying this, and it could have confused my daughter by making her think my mom is actually her mom. What makes you not believe her promising you that she didn't say that in front of your daughter? This lady was apparently there all the time while my mom was watching her. I don't know if I can believe she didn't make any comments around my daughter, or if she was around them when her friend assumed that. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Would I be the a-hole if I told my late wife's family that she cheated on me? Anna, my late wife, died in a car accident. Person lost control of their car and ran her over, and she passed away immediately. We were both 26 at a time. It was 4 years ago, right before the pandemic. We were having a bad time as a couple. She was extremely jealous of me, but also very protective of her phone. Shortly after her death, I found out I had STD, and surprise, surprise, she was cheating on me. On the day she passed, a guy we went to college and was kind of friends with sent her messages, asking for pictures of their last encounter. And the way he talked, it seemed like it was recent, and it seemed that they talked often. I was able to get on her phone and laptop, as she didn't change her passwords because she would always ask to check my phone and I would ask for hers back. So I had a password. There wasn't much because she deleted everything or hid it very well, but the most recent messages, she obviously couldn't delete them. So everything that came after her death was still there. While looking for the pictures he asked for, I found pictures of her and him in a .rar deep in a random place at her work folders, at her laptop. In one of them, she had short hair, which she only had right after we got engaged. So she was with him for at least 3 years, out of our 6 years together. Also found pictures of 2 other guys, but I have no idea who they are. And there were no messages from either of them anywhere. I messaged the friend and told him that I knew, told him about the STD, and that I won't reveal it to anyone and want it to be kept as a secret forever. I asked him if anyone else knew, and he said that his ex knew but he would talk to her. I decided that for the sake of her parents and siblings, I would pretend she was a great person and let them have their beautiful memories with her. Anna's older brother Thomas, 34 male, is a good friend of mine to this day. I would even go as far to say we are best friends. After 2 years of my wife's passing, I was ready to date again. Thomas said that he knew the perfect girl for me, he just wanted me to be sure I was ready for something serious before introducing each other. It was his sister-in-law, Laura, 27 female. We knew each other only superficially but never really talked before our first date. I fell for her quick and hard. We started dating and about 3 months in, we were already telling each other I love yous, and I told her I was going to marry her. It has been a little less than 2 years. We are engaged and I have never been this happy. I told her all about my relationship with Anna. I still have the evidence of what she did, stored away in my computer just in case, and I showed it to Laura. She cried a little and comforted me, but I assured her I was fine and that I was over it. The problem comes with Anna's family, especially her mom and sister. Ever since Anna's passing, every time they talk about her, people want to hear me talk. They ask me about her, try to include me in conversations about her. Anna was such a good cook, right OP? I loved when she and OP would banter. You remember OP? Stuff like this. I was able to get by in the beginning by saying it was difficult for me to talk about her, that I was not ready. They let me be for a while, but ever since I started dating Laura, I couldn't use the "I'm not ready" excuse. Her friends, sister and mom get annoyed if I don't sound enthusiastic or depressed. Learn that it's easier to look depressed. Also, if I talk about Anna in any way that isn't portraying her as an angel that came down to earth to bless us with her presence, I get side-eyed. Thankfully, Thomas and her father are great guys and don't push me too hard on this. Her dad is always thankful that I attend their family gatherings, as we like to talk about our field of work. He always says he considers me a son. Her mom and sister, though, they get irritated if I try to dodge the topic of Anna. And his sister even said it out loud once that it's obvious that I didn't love Anna. She apologized after, but I mean, she isn't wrong. By the end, I didn't, and sure as heck don't now. Look, I'm over what happened. I don't feel hate for Anna anymore. I sometimes catch myself wishing she was alive, just so I didn't have to pretend anymore. But also because her death was a tragedy. A lot of people loved her. Her friends organized a reunion for her birthday, and those were incredibly hard. And even though I know her affair partner will be there, I go because I know how much she meant to those people. But this all started to get to me because it's affecting Laura. I can't say I love her in front of these people. I can't even hug her, and Anna's sister gets all moody. Her best friend stopped speaking to Laura. They were also friends. Anna's mom even came to us at Thomas' birthday party last week and asked us to stop dancing to respect her grief. She also contacted my mom and Laura's parents to say that she was incredibly disappointed that I proposed to Laura so soon, saying that we were moving too fast. It's been 4 years. Even if she wasn't a cheater, more than enough time has passed. I'm just over it, and I'm seriously considering telling all of them what happened, just to get the weight off my back. Would I be the a-hole if I did this? Now for the top comments. Looks like Anna's family is still trying to control your life, even from the grave. Maybe it's time to let go of their expectations and focus on your own happiness with Laura. You deserve it. If Thomas is a good friend and your families are intertwined, perhaps he is the one to talk with. Let him see the evidence and hear the story. I would honestly stop caring about what her mom and sister think. Maybe tell her brother just to explain why you would be distancing yourself, and that's it, not the a-hole. I think the brother is the route to go. Show him the evidence and distance from the mom and sister. You want to reveal the truth to alleviate your own burden, but deep down, this isn't just about truth. It's about reclaiming your narrative and the control you lost when Anna cheated on you. Her family unknowingly forces you to uphold a lie that erases your pain, forcing you to live with unresolved resentment. Your silence has served their idealized memory, but it's eating away at your sense of integrity, and that suppression bleeds into your new life with Laura. What you fear most is not their judgment, it's the risk of tarnishing the only connection you have left to the person you once thought you loved. Yet that version of Anna died long before her accident, and you're still grappling with that realization. You're searching for permission to let go, but you don't need it. Exposing the truth might give you momentary relief, but it will permanently alter relationships with people you still care about, like Thomas. The question isn't whether you'd be an a-hole, it's whether you're ready for the fallout of destroying the illusion that sustains Anna's family, and if that weight is worth lifting off your shoulders. Deep down, you're unsure if exposing the truth will really free you, or if it's just another attempt to escape the pain you haven't fully processed. This is the best advice Opie is ever going to get. Since you are in a way marrying back into the family, do you really want to blow everything up? I mean, they're going to blow up everything once he does marry her. They're making comments about him not loving Anna and moving on too quickly. Those comments will never stop. It will become his and Laura's kids should have been Anna's, and on and on. Someone, Opie or Laura, is going to snap when they aren't all allowed to celebrate milestones because of grief over Anna. Next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girl because she wanted her child's father to move in with her? So I've been with this girl for 8 months, and she's a good person and stuff, but she has a child with another guy. At first, I just wanted to hook up, but we kept at it, and about 3 months into it, agreed to make it exclusive. We got along well, except recently, mid-July, when she told me about her baby's dad wanting them to have a Halloween and Christmas photo shoots with her kid, for when he's older so he can have pictures of mom and dad together with him. I'm not comfortable with that, but that's not even the bigger story. Apparently, his lease is up and he's down right now, so she's thinking about letting him live with her for a while. She told me this and I just broke up with her because this is exactly the drama people talk about. But I'm also allergic to telling people what to do with their lives, so when something doesn't suit me, I remove myself from the situation. Now she's been begging me to reconsider because it's her child's father and she can't leave him hanging. But she doesn't feel anything for him and loves me, etc. I gotta like her over our time together, but exes who share a child living together is just trouble waiting to happen. Plus, I don't want my girl to dress up with another guy for Christmas, or carve pumpkins with him, even if it's for the child's sake. I mean, I think the child should know that his parents aren't together. Co-parenting means you do stuff with the kid separately, no? Besides, something like the first day of school maybe, which happens at a precise time. But no, I guess I'm wrong according to her friends and sisters, who are already calling me names on TikTok because I'm not a real man who's secure about his woman, and all sorts of other BS, lol. I'm already over it, and I'm not going back on my decision. But just to get different perspectives, am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. You're just skipping to the last chapter where you end up breaking up anyway. That kind of living arrangement and holiday plans are a sure sign that her ex is trying to get back together with her. She seems easily manipulated by her ex, so with them living under the same roof, it seems likely that it will eventually happen. Best you're not in the picture when it does. Not the a-hole. Exes living together is a recipe for complications. You're avoiding potential drama. If my daughter's father asked to live with me because he was down on his luck, I would put a doghouse in the backyard for him. But that's just me. Not the a-hole, and honestly, I think you dodged a bullet. The photo shoots I can understand. It would be nice for the kid to have those sorts of pictures. But the moving in is too much. And in my opinion, pretty disrespectful to you. Her friends and sisters are showing you exactly the level of drama you could expect if you'd stayed. Exactly. The co-parenting stuff is pretty nice. The kid will benefit from it. However, Opie's feelings are valid. He honestly just shouldn't date anyone with kids unless the other parent is no longer around or involved. But the moving in thing and a friend and family involvement is too much, even if Opie were okay with a co-parenting relationship. Not the a-hole. She would definitely be banging him and expecting you to pay for stuff for her. It's a scam. Did you meet her on Craigslist or... The first thing that came to mind was that she's getting back with her ex, but doesn't want it to look like she's officially back because Opie is the secondary backup boyfriend, aka her insurance policy, because she wants two men to give her their attention and or money. And you know anything that Opie would have gotten for her, her ex would have probably consumed for himself. Gas? Groceries? Gifts? Not only did OP escape the baggage, but he also escaped having to support an entire family that he didn't belong to, considering the ex allegedly can't afford to pay rent. Not the a-hole. Edit. Wow, took a nap and woke up to 300 plus notifications, lol. Thank you guys for offering your perspectives, which mostly seem to coincide with mine. The pictures thing was a moment, but it's the moving in that pushed me out completely. Not going back, and will probably politely avoid baby mamas from now on. Thanks again. Last story. Am I the a-hole for glowing up after my divorce and not before? I, 53 female, have been divorced from my ex-husband Larry, 54 male, for 6 years. Larry and I have 2 adult children, Steve, 27 male, and Carla, 25 female. Larry and I met in college when we were both electrical engineering students. We were both very much on the nerdy side and looked the part, but were very attracted to each other. So I thought anyway. We got married soon after we graduated and both worked as engineers. But after a few years, Larry decided he wanted to go to law school to become a patent lawyer. In order to look the lawyer part, Larry underwent a major glow-up during this time, on pretty much all levels. Tailored clothes, fancy haircuts, designer accessories like watches, etc., along with working out to trade his dad bod for a lean gym bod. During this time, I was having/raising our small children, while taking care of about 95% of household matters because of his long working hours, all while working full-time. I admit I did not glow up along with Larry. My own appearance has always been on the plainer side. I'm not overweight, but a bit stocky, 5'5", 140 pounds. Simply cut hair, glasses, practical clothes, not much makeup. Larry loved me as his for about the first decade of our relationship. But after he started working as a lawyer, he started to become drawn to more conventionally attractive women and had several affairs. When I pressed for counseling, he said that the issues were things like my big nose and post-baby tummy pooch, not things I could fix with a simple makeover. I was getting organized to ask for a divorce when Carla was hit by a car while riding her bike. She survived and is fine now, but needed several years of intensive surgeries and rehab. In order to provide a unified front for Carla and Steve, Larry and I agreed to stay married and be as cordial as possible. He continued to see other women during this time, but by this time, I was past trying to get him to be faithful. We did separate and divorce after Carla went off to college. Larry's remarried now to a much younger woman, 33 female. In the past couple years, I have actually decided to focus more on myself, including my appearance. Now that my children are grown and out of the house, and I don't have to worry about tiptoeing around a difficult husband, I finally have time and resources to do so. I didn't get a nose job or other plastic surgery like Larry had wanted, but I did update and color my hair, started working out more, lost about 15 pounds, got a new wardrobe, and actually started dating. I don't have a steady partner yet, but regularly go to age-appropriate singles events and go on dates. Unfortunately, my children detest the new me. In particular, they blame me for the divorce and are angry that I didn't glow up to accommodate Larry, saying I was too selfish and lazy to do so when it mattered. My son Steve is getting married soon and says he is too angry to invite me to the wedding. Carla's gone low contact with me. I had great relationships with both of them until I started my own glow-up process a couple years ago, which was a few years after Larry and I finalized our divorce. Steve and Carla have told me that the only way to fix this, the only thing that would be fair, is to go back to the way I was before, meaning stop coloring my hair, dress in my former plain/frumpy way, and stop dating. They say they're most upset about the dating, and that is not fair for me to be looking for a new partner. So am I the a-hole for everything I have done here, for not improving my appearance until after I got divorced? I really don't think Larry would have been faithful to me, no matter how much I twisted myself in knots. I've felt I did the best I could, given the energy and resources I had. And while it may seem selfish, I do believe I deserve to have my own life now. But I am open to other opinions if I have done something wrong here. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole at all. What the heck did I just read? Your kids sound like spoiled, entitled selfish people. So they blame you for the divorce even though their dad cheated? Focus on yourself and your own life, and go completely no contact with your children. You can love them from a distance. You spent years sacrificing your own happiness for theirs. It's finally your time to be happy. I don't want to go no contact with them, but I just think it's very odd that they only started blaming me for the divorce once I started improving my appearance. I do agree that I have a right to be happy now, whatever that looks like within reason, and that I don't have to defer to their opinion. Why do your kids think they have a say in what you wear? This is so strange. That's not normal and it's not okay. If you go back to the old you, does X go back too? What's the endgame here? Because X is married, surely the adult whiner's children know this? They think that I'm basically rubbing it in my ex's face and theirs that I never cared about him because I couldn't be bothered to fix myself up until after we were divorced. I've explained that it just had to do with time and bandwidth that I have now, that I'm single and the kids are grown, but they aren't buying it. And no, of course the ex doesn't go back. The kids just think I deserve to be alone and frumpy. I guess because I wasn't a perfect wife in my marriage. I'm genuinely concerned for the lack of values your children exhibit. You sound like you still need to work on your self-worth. I cannot imagine sacrificing as much as you have for your children to turn around and treat you this way. If my child said what your son did to me, there would be zero chance I'd attend their wedding. You are entitled to feelings and to hurt, and the things your children are saying to you are cruel. The adult children sound very shallow. I can't imagine growing up in a house where mom carries all the domestic duties and dad is off having affairs was a great experience. They seem to have no issue with dad being married to a much younger person now, but have an issue with mom living for herself for once? Sounds like they're blaming mom for dad's affairs. Not a-hole, those kids should definitely get therapy. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sibs I sold our childhood home when I didn't, just to get them out? Okay, so I'm the youngest of 5, and this mess only revolves around me, female 29, my just older sister, female 31, and our older brother, male 36. 2 older sisters aren't part of this, thankfully. Okay, so I currently live with my girlfriend at what was my grandma's home. But I bought said home from mom a bit back for cheap. The house wasn't pristine, and I've sunk a few thousands into it already, and it's looking better. Well, my mom lived in our childhood home with 31-year-old sis and bro for the last... forever. 2 oldest sisters live in different states. Sister and bro never moved out for longer than a year each before moving back. Both are absolute slobs who refuse to clean up after themselves. And they made our mom clean up after them. She couldn't stand a mess and would clean just so she wouldn't have to live in filth. Eventually, she, in her 60s, couldn't stand to live there anymore. So I asked her to come live with me. They essentially drove our mother out of her own home because they were slobs. Well, she lived with me happily. My house is clean and she didn't have to work and just enjoyed her time in the garden. But she passed away not too long ago. I've barely been coping because out of all of my siblings, I was closest with our mom. Our personalities just meshed well, whereas my siblings didn't. She loved them. She wouldn't have cared for them for so long if she didn't. But they stressed her out unbelievably. Well, I found out our mom left her house to me only. She left each of my sibs some money, but the house and everything of hers in it is now mine. My sibs who live in that house didn't like it and pitched a fit. Said I manipulated mom at her weakest into getting the house when they should have gotten it. I told them to go to hell, and the only reason it probably got left to me is because mom knew I'd at least remember to pay the proper tax each year so the house wouldn't get taken. Neither of them pays any bills, save for their phone bills, so she probably doubted they'd keep the house for long if she gave it to them. Well, they expected me to follow in mom's footsteps and pay all the bills there for them. I laughed and told them that going forward, they'd be paying rent and all utilities if they wanted to stay there, and they'd need to keep the place clean or they were out. They flipped their crap and screamed that it was their childhood home and I couldn't do this. I said the deed is in my name, so I very much can. I sent them a letter that basically said they can either pay rent or they'd be out. They refused, so I sent them another letter saying they had 30 days to vacate the premises because I'd sold the house. They went ape, but they didn't have a leg to stand on, so they bailed. I've since cleaned up the place. It looked like a D-den and cost a lot to deep clean and fix stuff. And I'm renting it out to a nice Asian couple who have lots of exotic fish. Told some friends I lied about selling the house, and they said it was an a-hole move. Am I the a-hole? Edit. To the people commenting why lie, lying was pointless, or you were fine until you lied, need to understand that I know my siblings well. And I know for a fact that a regular eviction wouldn't have worked, since they'd know the house was still mine, so they'd have not left and just squatted indefinitely. But once they thought the house wasn't mine, they bailed, because they probably were worried the new homeowner would shoot them for trespassing. So lying was necessary, in my opinion. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole, big time. I'm glad your gamble worked out for you. Getting people out of a house can be a huge hassle. Not a-hole. Your mom probably left you the property because she knew you would take care of it, not just pay the bills, especially after seeing you fix up your grandma's house. Also, I misread the line about the new renters. I really couldn't figure out why you knew that your renters had lots of exotic fetishes. Not a-hole. It sounds like you gave them the legally required notice to vacate, and with good reason. For all they know, the sale fell through at the last minute. Hey, it happens. Or the Asian family bought the house. I don't know why the exotic fish part amused me so much, but it did. Same, it's just oddly specific and delightful. I hope both the tenants and their landlady have a wonderful life. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive and making life more difficult at home? I, 16 female, lost my dad when I was a baby. I only ever had one photo of him and me together, just the two of us. My mom put it in this cardboard photo frame my dad made when I was a kid. Technically, she just stuck it on with tape. My mom remarried when I was 11, and her husband has a daughter, Bea, who is 11. Back in July, my mom and her husband went back to work after working from home with COVID, and they asked me to stay home with Bea for 2 days because the babysitter canceled very last minute. Day one was pretty rough, and I decided I wasn't going to take Bea to the park if she was going to be demanding and cause trouble. Day two came and she wanted the park, started demanding I take her, and I said no. I also wouldn't let her eat chocolate for lunch, so she went upstairs, into my room, and tore up the photo and frame of me and my dad. I yelled at her and sent her to her room, and when her dad got home, I told her he was never ever to leave me with her again. Her dad made her apologize, but I didn't accept it, and I still haven't, and I will not spend any time with her now. My mom has told me to forgive her because she's 11. I have made my feelings clear. My mom got another copy of the photo from my grandparents, but it won't ever replace the frame or the fact she did it out of spite. Apparently, this has made things difficult now because they always have to take her. If no other adults in the house, they don't trust her to be left unattended while going shopping, and they know I won't take care of her anymore or do anything for her. It also means if any issues with the babysitter come up, they have to leave work early / get to work late, etc. My mom has begged me to forgive. I just can't. I can't even look at her anymore. I won't say how I feel about her now, but yeah. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving her? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. 11 is old enough to understand why what she did was so awful. That's why she did it. And if Bea destroys it while being with you for 2 days, you looking after her while they are at work is obviously not going to work out and is a bad idea. They aren't helping you discipline Bea at all. Oh girl, please make as many digital copies of that photo as you can. Things get ruined, but memories stay forever. Try to focus on yourself, and one day you may be able to forgive her for being young, dumb, and cruel. It's more her dad being a crap parent than anything. A 16-year-old shouldn't be responsible for another child if that child is difficult and intentionally awful. Not the a-hole. It's very telling that she's 11 years old and can't be trusted to stay at home alone while your parents go to the grocery store. 11 is old enough to not need a babysitter. It sounds like your stepsister has some mental health issues, and it is not your responsibility to help her with them. What she did is far beyond just being a brat. It was sadistic, and it was after what? A day and a half of you watching her? What will she do to you the next time you don't let her get her way? Just because she's younger doesn't mean she isn't a danger to you. Not the a-hole. 11 is old enough to know not to tear up a picture of someone's dead father. Your mom and stepdad are spoiling Bea by making excuses for her and not holding her accountable for her actions. This is 100% your parents' fault. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my son that he is not welcome in my home if he gets a dog? The title doesn't paint me in the best light, but please hear me out. My ex-husband and I split about 3 years ago. We have both since found new partners and are quite happily co-parenting our 2 children, Milo, who is 17, and Jason, who is 14. Milo is essentially blind. He is completely blind in one eye and does not have a great deal of vision in the other. We have done what we can to support him and cater to his needs. He is a very confident and outgoing boy despite all of this, and it brings me a great deal of comfort knowing that he is happy. Everything was going absolutely perfect until a few weeks ago. My ex's partner, who we'll be referring to as Mary, has a habit of getting involved in situations that do not concern her. She frequently tries to take over as mother when my boys are staying at their dad's house. She makes a point of butting into calls to talk to my boys, and when Milo was 15, she went out of her way to buy him the Harry Potter books in Braille. She knew that this was our thing. We'd curl up on the sofa and I'd read the books to him. Well, a while ago, she decided to stick her nose in and suggested that Milo get a guide dog. He doesn't really go out on his own. He is always accompanied by a friend or family member. He was very sold on the idea and has started looking into applying for one as his general physician apparently agrees with Mary. I am not a fan of this idea. Milo is perfectly capable of navigating his way around the house, and he always has someone with him when he's outdoors. I just don't see why he need a guide dog. I also admit that I am a bit of a clean freak and like everything to be sitting tidy. That's just not possible with a dog. I am not having my home being covered in dog hair and having the furniture chewed up and jumped on. The boys begged for a cat for ages, and the cat hair is bad enough. I am also not a big fan of dogs. I was bitten as a child, and ever since, I have always been a bit wary of them. We had a disagreement about it yesterday, and I snapped, telling Milo that he can get a dog if he wants, but he is not living under my roof with it. By all means, if he'd moved out and got a dog, then I wouldn't see any issues with it. But he is adamant that this is what he wants, knowing full well I don't want the house to turn into an absolute pigsty. He has been informed that under no circumstances does he bring that animal into my home. He can visit as much as he likes without it, and I will of course visit him, but the dog can't live in my house. His dad and Mary, of course, have taken his side. Jason has tried to talk to his brother, but Milo seems dead set on this idea and not thinks I am an a-hole for not allowing a dog in the house. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Edited to add, I am not infantilizing my son. What does it matter if I refer to him as my baby? I do the same with Jason. They are my children, and they always will be, no matter how old they are. Parents of Reddit will understand this. I am sick to death of all the comments accusing me of this. I know Milo is almost 18. I did give birth to him. I want Milo to be independent, but that's a lot of unnecessary stress to put on him right now. And no, I am not bitter about Mary. No, she's not abusive. I never said she was. I just don't like her waltzing into our lives and trying to take over the role of mother. If Milo wants something, for example an item of clothing, and I cannot get it straight away, Mary will go out of her way to get it first. When my husband told her that Milo likes singing, she decided to have a karaoke night with him. Anything she can do to make herself look good, she will. The guide dog suggestion was no exception. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. She is being a mother to your kids, which says to me she is looking after them and caring for them as well as being a positive role model. She got a present for your son of something that he would truly enjoy, but got pissed because you were the one who read the books to him. And now you don't want him to get a dog that allows him independence. Strong you're the a-hole because this is screaming at me that you don't want him to have his independence and want to control him. You gave him an ultimatum. I hope you're prepared for the potential negative effects. Lol. She bought him books that she knows he likes so he can read them at his own leisure and not have his mom read them to him when he's 17 years old. And now she's putting ideas in his head about him maybe being able to go outside without supervision. What an evil interloping little tart. I am flabbergasted at this posting. I am a 74-year-old woman with graduate training who worked in human services during my career years. What parent does not want their child to have the maximum opportunities to live a full, rewarding life? So, it sounds like a pristine house is more important to you than your son having the freedom and sense of accomplishment to live his own life with as much independence as possible. For all the rest of Milo's life, he cannot depend on other people being available to him when he needs to go out, go to classes, have employment, go on dates, travel. The fullest range of life experiences begins with him having a trained guide dog. You seem to resent your ex's new partner, with whom you seem to feel some competition. Let me rework that. Maybe she is a decent, caring human being who just wants what is best for Milo, and she is giving off her time, energy, and resources to be supportive of him. Once you get her and the Harry Potter books out of your head, maybe you will see common sense about Milo and his needs for a better future. Last edit. I understand Reddit. I will admit I wasn't in the best state of mind earlier, and was not ready to read all of the comments, so I did come off as a bit defensive. If it means that much to Milo and his independence, he can get the dog. Something about hundreds of people telling you that you are a colossal a-hole will do that to you. I took the suggestion and did some research regarding guide dogs, and I do not feel as strongly about having one in the house now that I know how well behaved they are. I did not set out to hurt my son, but it happened. I know I am never going to like Mary, but as much as it pains me to say it, she may have had a point in this matter. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for saying that I make the rules in the house I inherited from my mother? Some background info. I, 20 male, started to live with my bio father and his wife a week ago. My mother died when I was 18, and since this house has been passed down on my mother's family for generations, I legally inherited it. My mom and bio father divorced when I was 15. I was never really close to him, to be clear. If I were to rate our relationship, it will be 3 out of 10. I don't know the reason, but we're just pretty civil to each other. Last year, he married this woman somewhere abroad, and although I was invited, I didn't go because that woman and me are practically strangers. We never talked before, and I only know her appearance from a picture. Because of the pandemic, my bio father asked if they can live here for a while since his pay was recently cut down, so it's hard to keep living in their apartment. Since we have a decent relationship with each other, and him saying that they'll agree to any condition I set, I won't dive further into conditions, just normal roommate stuff, like not meddling with each other's business. I let them in last week. The first few days were actually pretty normal, just some snide comments from his wife when he's not around about my lifestyle, my house, my decorations, my garden, and whatever she thinks is not good enough. I just always answer her with, "It's my life. I am an adult in my own home. I would appreciate it if you don't voice out your unsolicited opinions." Then yesterday, for whatever reason it is, she just barged into my room, demanded for me to be healthy and bond with them more, then proceeded to take my laptop, which I paid for, and my own separate modem, which I also paid for. Of course, I was irritated, and the irritated said, "What the F are you doing?" She replied with, "I'm making you live a healthier life. From now on, I will regulate your use of internet and laptop. I will be in charge under this roof." After hearing that, I can't help but laugh. I just laughed real hard at her face. Like, witch? This is my house and I provide for myself. I just answered her with, "You high in grass or something? Seems you forgot this is not your house. This is my house. You don't get to make the rules here. I do. Disturb me once more and I'll make sure you live in the streets." My father is livid last night and he demanded me to apologize to her. Of course I didn't. Lol. I just reiterated what I said to her. That this is my house and if they problems or whatsoever, they're free to live in the streets. Now, some of my cousins are telling me that I shouldn't have used my house that I inherited from my mom to shut them up, especially now due to the pandemic. I don't really care about the two of them, but I value my cousin's opinion. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They're free to move out if they don't like it. As long as they live under your house, they will abide your rules. If not, they are both adults and are more than welcome to find other accommodations. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. They've broken the agreement and you have every right to ask them to leave. Your cousins can take them in if they want to. OP can ask them, but will likely have to go through formal eviction proceedings to get them out. If he doesn't, he will be liable for substantial damages. Take note, OP. If you do want them out, you can't just toss their stuff and change the locks. Once they've established residence, you'll have to serve them with an eviction notice and give them the legally required warning, which might be as much as 30 to 60 days. Even then, you'll likely need to sue and get a court order. If they've only been with you for a week, you might be in the clear depending on local laws. In some places, a week or two is all it takes for a tenant, free or paying, to establish residency. Not the a-hole. Doesn't sound like you use the my house thing often. This is exactly when you should, when she somehow feels like she should be in control. In what world would she be making the rules? She sounds like painfully entitled. Maybe this is a pride thing for her. You definitely needed to remind her where she lives. This kind of behavior is unacceptable. If your cousins have a problem with it, they can take them in. Plus, if it was her house, she would be more than happy to let you know her house, her rules.